gets old. This one never gets.
Step into my office. Why? Because you're fucking fired.
No, they don't get old.
7 folks swinging on a branch.
Yeah. Eating lots of sunflowers on my uncle's ranch.
Come on, yeah, I knew you knew that old children's tale from the sea.
That's right.
So let's get started. It seems that I've been doing some research on this. It seems that your justice system moves much, much swifter than ours. So let me start off with the obvious question out there. Do you guys do the death penalty?
No, not in this country.
No. How about over in anywhere in UK?
No.
Okay. So that's
an
automatic huge difference.
It's a topical debate. It's a topical debate where not just but I think a lot of people, it was very much part of our system until it was abolished.
And when was it abolished? Do you know?
Let me just check.
Out here, the capital punishment applies, but it is state to state.
Let me check. Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to ask you about, states that have it and states that don't. I know Texas is very much for it.
Yeah.
But Texas is a country in its own right, isn't it?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
There you go. See, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah. But I have to say, as far as Texas goes, I do like San Antonio very, very much.
Yeah, I like Texas. I gotta be honest, but the place and the way that things run are completely different, aren't they? Right wing, as I say. Death penalty UK. There it is. Okay. So, capital punishment in the United Kingdom. Capital punishment in the United Kingdom predates the formation of the UK, have been used within the British Isles in the ancient times until the second half of the 20th century. Last executions in the United Kingdom were by hanging and took place in 1964. Okay. 1964. Now, the area where I live in the UK is called Wrexham, and that is in the North Wales area, right? North Wales people. Do not get me fucking confused with a guy that lives in England, okay? Rob tries it all the time and it doesn't wash, okay? I am a proud Welshman, not an Englishman, Welshman. Like Scotsmen, Scottish people are proud Scots. We are a country that is known as Great Britain, United Kingdom, but we prefer to live separately and be classed as a separate country in our own rights. But the town where I live, there is an area which is known as the Beast Market. Now, notice and concentrate on that term beast, right? The Beast Market. The Beast Market is also known as a cattle market, where they used to slaughter animals, okay? But it was also well known for the fact that it was a galley. They used to have. It was one of the main areas in the United Kingdom where they used to hang people. Hence the term beast market. It was the slaughterhouses, and the slaughterhouses was originally where they used to keep them until they hung them.
The Last
Yeah,
Stop
and
Hotel.
1964 was the last
Okay.
hangings in the UK. Now, like I say, it's a controversial one because a lot of people, like myself, I believe life is life. Now, I don't believe in life is you get sent to prison because, you watch documentaries today and you see these people who can't conform and they can't live in today's society in a place where they feel comfortable and it doesn't necessarily look like a punishment, correct? You know, um, and, but then you have people that say, just killing them is too easy for them, you know. But the reality is, our system for murder, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing because our system for murder, you can kill someone in this country, and they say you will get that there are different terms in a life sentence. You can get 1 life sentence, 2 life sentences, 3 life sentences. Um, you've got to be really some kind of sick, sadistic person to really get over 1 life sentence
Now,
because
on a life sentence, how long until they're eligible for parole? Like, what's your minimum term of service?
minimum I would say is probably about 13, 14. Maximum 25 years before you're eligible
Right. Okay.
for some type of parole hearing. But again, I've known and I know people that have not, I'm not going to say done far less, and have done 14 years and have not killed anyone, armed robberies, them
Right.
sort of things. But them sort of things, they're planned so that in the eyes of the law, you are as dangerous as a murderer because you've used, like beatings. You're beating someone to get a safe and the money and all them sort of things. It's planned, isn't it? It's
Right.
by
Forethought.
any means
Forethought
necessary,
equals an extra charge.
But I know of a person that lived in my town that committed a fucking murder, and it was an horrific murder. And beat someone to death with a statue, left them unrecognizable, and they got like it was 17 years. You
Huh.
know, um, it is. It's like any system, that we can it swings in roundabouts. It's like a raffle, I suppose. You fucking draw that bloody raffle ticket and hope you get the right judge. You know, um, you know as well as I do, convictions like that go on the indictments of like psychologically assessed. Um, you know, there could be loopholes, just little things that the system, like I've just been through it, you know, a system that is so fucked that things get missed. Um, yeah, it's just one of them things.
Well, as
But
far as the death penalty goes, in in our 50 states, 24 of them have the death penalty and they use it. And 3 of them, Oregon, California, and Pennsylvania, the death penalty is legal and on the books. But there's that whole there's a really extreme set of circumstances that are in play before those can be considered.
And they're all
So
death by lethal injection, yeah?
all of them, yeah. That's all they do now. No more given a choice. No more whatever the warden
No more
chooses.
wet sponge
Yeah.
or not wet in the sponge.
Firing squad. Oh man. But I would rather take the firing squad, to be honest.
What a way to go, eh?
Yeah. Just everybody go ahead and
Here
light me up.
lies,
Just call this
here
one over.
lies Rob Wild. Death by firing squad. It just kind of puts you up there in a different pedestal, doesn't it?
And then at my funeral, you could look down and say, Rob was right and we was wrong, but we shot him and now he gone.
Yeah, he took one in the mouth.
Well, I'll tell you, that wouldn't be a first time.
he got a face full.
Yeah, and out here the parole system is wackadoo. And I believe that now there are lots of sentences handed out where they'll say life imprisonment, no possibility of parole, which means at 50 years it's over. If you're still alive, they're going to let you out. Go die on somebody else's dime and not the prison's.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, let someone else clean up the mess, type of thing.
But yeah, typically speaking, I've heard of people serving as little as say 2 years on a 15-year sentence before they're filtered out. Then that's for different levels of risk.
Mm-hmm. It's weird, because you listen. I mean, I'm you shouldn't say obsessed. I'm fascinated by a lot of I gotta watch what I say here. High profile prisoners. Okay, high profile prisoners. They go in for 6 sinister acts on people, children, blah blah blah. And then you look and you see their term and how long they have lived in the system. And you're like, honestly, to live in a system for so long. I mean, listen, I'm going to be open. I've been there. I've been there. I've had it easy. I've had it easy compared to what some people in the system have had it. And no one should have it easy.
Right.
No one should have it easy, man. You do the crime, you do the time. Right. It shouldn't be some glorified holiday camp where you get,
fishing trip.
It shouldn't be, because prison's prison. You don't get to take someone's life or do sinister acts, or, and go away and you're okay while that family or whatever, live in turmoil for the rest of their fucking lives. It shouldn't work like that, but it does. It does, and it does very much in this country.
Yeah.
And it does in the States, because I've seen documentaries, people with fucking TVs and, but I suppose that's a case of as well how much money you've got behind you and how much money you can pay, certain people to look after you. Because that happens as well. There's a lot of corruption in the system. But, it's one of them where you just look and you just think, how do you get by living or being in a system? Shawshank Redemption, for instance, okay? Factual real life prison. Yeah, is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at that on the film, and you're kind of like, wow. And then you see people like Brooks. Brooks gets released, bless him, after doing such a time in that jail. And the first thing he does is he struggles with the outside world, and God bless him, he hangs himself. Now, that
Brooks,
people,
don't hang yourself, Brooks.
you know, yes, Brooks, don't. And people are probably sitting there thinking, "But you look, but Butcher, you look like you've got a certain sense of, remorse." Yeah, yeah, because you know there are certain things in this world that can't be changed. That can't be changed, and I've lived through one of them, and I'm living through it. You know, there are one type of being in this world that do not deserve the light of day or the touch of a person's heart, and they are nothing but rapists and pedophiles, scum of the fucking earth, and they deserve to be burned slowly.
Boy, I would love to tell that kid toucher story I told you about when I was in, but that's just going to get me in trouble, I think.
You
But yeah,
know,
kid touchers have no, and I
no,
know it's the same over there. They're no quarter for that. Just they got it
and that doesn't necessarily mean that murderers are any different, but
right.
when they can change, in a system that I suppose sometimes when you're the harsh reality of society molds you in ways that you struggle. Now that doesn't mean fucking murderers, you know, serial killers, um, deserve to be any treated to the other type of being, beasts, should I say. But you know, they can change. They can change, and that doesn't. I don't think that means half their sentence. Let them have, you know, be come out on good behaviour. No, you serve your fucking sentence. But I do believe they should all be entitled to parole. I do think that, um, because I don't know. I've had second chance, dude. You know,
I think that just about everybody does. Yeah, deserve
I've
and the
I've had a second
right.
chance, so I mean, I ain't killed anyone, but there's still time. you
Yeah,
know,
dude, I was gonna say the day's young. Careful.
there's still time, but you know, I would want a second chance, and I've had second chances. I've had third chances. You
Side note:
know,
I was watching the Be Cool, the movie Be Cool.
yeah, John
And then when
Travolta.
Cedric the Entertainer and his boy came in with the gun, and he's like, "Okay, we're not gonna kill anybody today," and he's like, "Oh, Dabu, Dabu." He's like, "You never let me do what I want to do. You never let me kill nobody." I start thinking about you and me having that conversation. I about
So,
peed myself.
so I mean, on we can estimate that your system still uses the death penalty. It's lethal injection. Um, what is the highest? I mean, obviously, you go by cats category prisons and
Oh
things
yeah,
like that too?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So obviously, A is your highest. Yeah.
We have the minimum up to maximum, and then we have
Okay.
actually we have minimum to super max.
Okay. Where is your biggest prison then in the country?
The biggest? Oh
Oh,
God, I don't know. See, like America, we do prisons. That's our thing out here. We do
yeah,
incarceration. So there are so goddamn many of them. But
yeah.
I'll
I'd
tell you
say
some of
I'm a
the
bit.
worst.
Some of that, I mean, I watch if there's a documentary to be watched on, American prisons and that, I watch them because I find them fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, just how you can build a fortress for convicts And some of them you just kind of look at. And there was a film back in the 90s. I think it was early 90s, Christopher Lambert, called Fortress. And it was about a futuristic prison, very much like another film was called No Escape with Ray Liotta, where it was based on an island called Aslan. I think it was called, no, it wasn't called Aslan. Aslan's a fucking lion. I can't remember what it was called. But look at some of these designs.
I have
for
an
some of the-
answer to your question. The
Go on.
Louisiana State Penitentiary is the largest facility in the country with 5,100 inmates.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And that is probably one of the roughest prisons in the country, too.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. So I'm going to have a look now. Yeah, I was saying then about obviously the and that's a max security, yeah.
Louisiana is a supermax, yeah.
Wow.
So that means like, in order to let you don't ever get sentenced unless you're like a terrorist, but typically you'll get handed over to the Hague, right? When you're a terrorist, and then they
Yeah.
in all the worst ways. I mean, whenever you hear about somebody going to the Hague, if you hear about it, you think, man, they are fucked because the Hague don't answer to nobody. So, but what happens here is you'll get, so let's say that I get put in there for getting caught with 50 kilos of coke, and I get 10 years. But no violence, so they're going to send me to minimum security prison. And I'm going to get there, and I get into a fight. I get put in the hole. I get let out. I get myself into another fight. Well, now they got to reclassify me because I'm a danger to them.
Yeah.
So depending on whether
you're problematic.
So unless depending on if there's a weapon or not, you'll go to minimum, or you'll go to a medium, or you might go to max, and they might have you cool in max, but be ready to move you back to minimum.
Yeah.
I will say they do go ahead and throw me up in max, and I walk up and straight up cut somebody's throat. Well, now I got a new charge, and now it's super max city, and that's where it's the worst of the fucking worst, and everybody in there has blood on their hands.
Yeah. Well, that's. I'm looking now.
They took a guy I knew straight to Supermax for a chilling period, but because they found legit schematics for making a jail bomb out of chemicals.
Wow.
So they pulled them right out, sent them straight to Supermax, and I think it was for like 3 months, but I don't know what ended up happening to him.
Wow. Okay.
They almost sent me with him. He was my cellie.
The highest, I'm not surprised this is the highest in the UK. Now, the UK, people, is made up of 144 prisons. That stretches from England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. We in Wales have actually got the newest prison, which is in the system, which is called HM Berwyn.
But yeah, I watched a documentary on that one too.
You know, HM Berwyn, which is in my town. It holds 2,106. It's a Category C prison. That's the biggest. That's the biggest in the UK.
Okay.
That's the biggest in the UK. Category C. It was basically made to a lot of things in the UK. A lot of people, a lot of convictions are, can't say minor, you know. I don't like the term minor. Oh, he only has a minor offence. He stole, you know what I mean? £10,000 worth of, you know, minor doesn't exist. They basically, our system was, a lot of our prisons are Victorian. They're old Victorian, shit plumbing. it's not like they can go through a prison and fix everything, is it? You know, you can't just pick a prisoner up and move in because there's nowhere to move them to. So they built Berwyn, and over a stage of between 2013 and 2015, they shut. I think it was nearly 20 plus prisons, and they basically moved. Vast majority went to Berwyn. Then in the UK, you've got seven Cat A prisons. Now, Cat A's are naughty prisons.
They're real bad.
You know, one, for instance, I think I've sent you the documentary for it, which is called Wakefield, which is known as Monster Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that place is, I've stood outside it. I've not been in there. I wouldn't be here now if I never went in there, you know. Use the term big boys prison. That's big boys prison.
Okay.
Only holds 751, and I say only. I would say 751. You watched the documentary, 751. I think it's got six wings, of which 6 wings, I would say you are lucky if you have 100 screws, which are prison officers.
You think?
If 100, dude, if 100. That's me putting on the maximum numbers that I could think, 100 officers shared, but no, I would say it's probably miles less than that.
All right, well, let me actually counter your numbers with some numbers for our end. Now, the most current I could find was a census from 2019. In 2019, there was an undisclosed amount of supermax prisons, but then there were 376 max. There's 500 or 451 minimums and mediums. Sorry, shit. And then 287 minimum facilities, and that's just for adults. That's not including juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and then you say an undisclosed number of supermax. That's a little scary. How many really are there, and how full are they of the worst of the worst? And what happens if they break out? Are they going to be like the Legion of Doom and conquer the world again?
We've just started in the last few weeks. Well, not last few weeks. I would say all about last few weeks. A person that escaped from a prison. He was they labelled him a terrorist, which, if you're labelled a terrorist and you escape prison, there is kind of like a national kind of, it's a national fucking warning that terrorist warning. That's what he was, He was a former British soldier who had escaped the quite a high profile prison. And he'd done it in a way that he'd strapped himself to the under the van.
God damn, like a Steve McQueen movie.
He worked in the kitchens, so he'd sussed all this out. So he'd planned it. So he's a very, very intelligent person. But they caught him. But I mean, what an escape that, you know what I mean? Just strap yourself to the underneath of a van and it had been planned and everything, because a car had met him and all these things. I say we've got high profile prisons. Strangeways in Manchester had one of the UK's biggest riots. The majority of the prison went on fire. Prisoners had managed to navigate the walls onto the top of the roof of the prison. They took it over, and I think that was in the, I think it was early 90s. Early 90s. You've got Strange Ways, you've got Wakefield, you've got Manchester. Yeah, that was Strange Ways. And then you've got the the place for the sick. These just aren't murderers. These are very, very, very yes, HM Belmarsh, which is like home to the Yorkshire Ripper, Myra Hindley. It's, you know, psycho fucking, places. But then when you look at these places and you see 910 people within these, places, and you look at the numbers on others, and you're like, it's just ridiculous. When you think how many people are being put in these structures, and it's mad because I think there's just over 85,000 people in prison across the UK, and they're stating, I think they state that they're basically, some of these cells are single cells, right? They're single cells, and they're cramming 2 people into single cells.
Oh yeah.
Now, then you read, like, and you know what? This is where you kind of you've got to think. Listen, they're in prison. Do they deserve to be treated like normal people? And the answer to that is yes. Yes. You can't prison them and then stick them in inhumane environments. That's not how you rehabilitate anyone.
That's how you starve a hungry animal.
Yeah, that's not how you rehabilitate anyone. You get 900 plus people in a prison, and they have to live in fucking environments like that. You're winning nothing, and that is across.
What was that number you gave me a little bit ago about how many people are in prison right now out there?
Just over 85,000. You probably got
what
like
our number
fucking.
Is?
I don't even want to know, dude. We're talking probably millions in your country.
At the end of last year, 1,157,000 and change.
That's fucking mental.
And that's just in state prisons. In federal prisons, we have 636,000.
You see, that's just wow.
Yeah.
And like you say, you got it's scary. I'm just looking here now. Just looking here.
And the thing is, I watched a lot of documentaries on the system over there on your end, and one thing that kept sticking out to me was, wow, look at how well they're being fed. Look at how clean this place is. There's violence in any facility that you're going to go into, and that's just the way that it is. So, of course, there's violence there. There's violence
here. That's
here.
the thing, isn't it? I think that when I look at yours, because what these people are, these documentaries, what they're very clever in what they do is they don't allow any cameras or film crews to just go into any prison.
Right.
They don't, and they're very, very clever in what they allow you to film and how you film it. Because when you said to me that, I was like, what? Are you fucking serious? You know, there are some prisons in this country that honestly, I went to one when I was 17, and I walked into this jail, which is known as All Course. I walked in there, and you don't know what to expect. I mean, you know, it's just one of them. But I mean, the area where I basically came from, I already had people there from my area. So I mean, to me, it wasn't going to be hard for me to, get a night's sleep, wake up in the morning, and I not have to worry about some fuckers pinch me shoes, or, you know,
Right.
uh, the, it was easy. It was easy, and the reason it was easy was because the easier they can make it for you, the easier it is for them. If you
Well,
go
right,
in
right.
there, if you go in there and
Absolutely.
you're trying to cement yourself with a bit of authority, you're going to get brought down to earth pretty quick, and they can do that. I've seen it done. You know,
And they do that.
they definitely do that. I've witnessed people wrapped up in their mattresses and fucking, don't miss. It's not right, and they've been turned over. They've honestly been thrown around like rag dolls. But then you look, and I got to be honest. I mean, I've never. I'm no pushover, but at the same time, I was brought up in a way that I don't speak down to people. I don't, I can and I will if you treat me like a dick, you know. But at the same time, these are people that are there doing a job that they don't need to do. They don't need to do, and that by no means is an easy job. Could I do it? No, no, because I don't believe someone like me is made to speak down to someone that doesn't, you know, it's a recipe for disaster, you know. Um, but I've seen people come in and literally they've owned the system. They've owned it. Prison officers don't touch them. They don't they don't order them around because it's already, there are certain people. There are certain
You don't walk up to a hurt dog and start choking it because the
Yeah,
dog's
you
gonna bite the
know.
fuck at you.
But I mean, I was never poked. I was never prodded. I was never. I had an easy time. I witnessed stuff. Like you said, certain things you can't talk about. But I've seen stuff. I've heard stuff, and shit does happen in there. It really does. Um, I know people that have been in the system with very, very high profile people. Um, I know someone that was on a wing with Reggie Cray in the early 90s. Um, I know someone that you've heard of, obviously, Charles Salvador Bronson, big high profile British. He's what a dude. I love him. I love him. Um, friend of my missus. She's a pen pal with him. He's done her drawings and everything, and yeah. And this is what I mean. These are people that have a story to share. You know that they know what they've done. and they know their life will never be the same. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, they should be forgotten. They'll always be remembered for that one act, But do they regrets? Do they regret it? Are them regrets, legit? To those that it affected, that there is no, how would you put it? There'll never be acceptance.
I think that we need to do this again next week. We'll do a part 2 of
Part
this
two.
because there's still so much more to go over, and we're pretty much out of time.
We can go part 2. We can go part 3. There's a lot on
There's a
the
lot.
British
Yeah.
on the system.
Maybe we'll try to pick up somebody who's been in recently to come share their point of views on it.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Someone, we can get a guest to talk about their time.
Yeah. So let's plug a couple of things real quick. As I've been very vocal about, most of you know that Casanova and I have decided to cut Wrestle Shoot back to a bi-weekly show to make a little bit of room for a new wrestling show to move in. Pardon me. And that other wrestling show happens to be sitting here. So what's up, brother? Tell me about that.
It's coming. It's coming next Thursday. Myself and Sean, the big boss, the one that what is he again?
Executive producer Sean.
Executive producer. He's the brain. He's the brain, people. Sean he's a dude. And he's soon to be my dude. My partner in crime, the Four Corner Podcast.
Yep.
Got some cool graphics. I've got a cool video being done. It's going to be cool. And we're gonna make things in wrestling cool again.
Oh,
we're not gonna be one of these stupid, shitty wrestling podcasts like the one I used to be on. This is going to be different. This is going to be about the fans. This is going to be about the fans. Yes, we're going to discuss the aspects of the ups and downs of the industry. We might even talk a little bit on, the weekly incidents and news and updates and things like that. We might do that. I dropped one on Sean yesterday because I was just thinking, you know what? I haven't checked the PWI, and fuck the PWI. So I messaged Sean and I said, Sean, we should do our own anti-social illustrative,
You goddamn right we should.
And he went, he messaged me and he seemed quite, I said, no, let's not fuck around with top 500 because who the fuck cares about the top 500? But let's be straight to the point and go top 100. Because I look at the top 100 in the PWI and I see Seth Rollins and I'm like, what the fuck has Seth Rollins done? He's been beltless for almost 3 years.
This is what Seth did.
Yeah, well,
you know that everybody in the 500.
But then I'm looking and I'm going, listen, there's a guy there in the top 5 and his name's Gunter. And he's just done what no fucker could do in 20 years. And he's made the IC title relevant again. He's the longest reigning since the Honky Tonk Man. Yeah, he's had 6 5-star matches in 4 years. Don't nobody tell me that man's not the man. Yeah, because there's only one man. There's only one man that can call himself man other than the man, that is
Woo!
Gunter, and that is Ric Flair. So, people, if you want to see a wrestling podcast that's going to change the face of the
earth,
you need to watch the Four Corner Podcast.
Right
But
here
we're
on the
going
Eddie
global,
Social
baby.
Network.
We're going global.
Correctamundo. Now, guys, I don't want anybody out there to feel disheartened because me and Chris are cutting back to every 2 weeks. Because in the interim 2 weeks, we're still going to be here on the Wrestle Shoot time slot, but it's just going to be Rob and Chris talking shiznit, you know. So we have no idea what it's going to be about. We have no idea what we're going to talk to minute to minute. We're just going to go online and say, "What's up, player?"
I don't even know who's going to jump in their room.
You never know who might do a run-in.
Never know.
So with that being said, then next week, Prison Edition Volume 2.
Volume 2. And if we can't fucking finish it in Volume 2, we'll go Volume 3.
Fucking A. I
Fucking
love
A.
it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Keep us on all things podcast. You'll see us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, on our website. The Roku channel is being developed. We'll be here soon. And we'll see you guys next time.